So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's session. As usual, being a Sunday, we normally meet and we talk about matters health, where we look at how can we live a longer and healthier life. And today we are especially looking at a topic that affects quite a number of people, either directly or indirectly. And that's the issue of our mental health. Everybody has a brain. And brain cells are reputed as the cells that never die. They stay with you until you die. And it's always important to take care of your brain, take care of your mental health, and be aware of your mental health. And today we have a very, very top distributor, top wellness coach who is going to talk to us about matters health of the brain. And that's none other than Margaret AMULAVU. And she's going to tackle it. And I tell you, you cannot afford to miss this one. Make sure you remind everybody to zoom in. All your guests, all your customers, all your distributors, they are going to learn a lot. Get a pen, a paper, take some notes. If she coughs, you say coughed. Yeah, that's how serious it is. So without further ado, welcome, Margaret. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Fred. Sometimes you get introduced and if I was in a room, I'll be looking at the back to just see if it is me you're introducing. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our session this evening. And I'm just so delighted and excited to be presenting to us this topic, a very, very key topic. I'm very passionate about it. And I'll just say a little bit about myself so that we are able to relate. I'm Margaret AMULAVU, as Fred has said. Previously worked for the bank for 8.5 years. And after 8.5 years, I chose to resign from the bank and I decided to be a stay-home mom because I grew up understanding that I can be an ex-employee, an ex-worker, all the exes except being a parent. We never quit from parenting. Once a parent, always for life. And I wanted to put some values in my children because I believe that what you live in them is more important than what you live for them. And so after 8.5 years of working in the bank, I did resign. And it was because I didn't have time for my family. I remember one day coming home and our son was 3 years then, said, "Mommy does not come home." And it was true. He hadn't seen me for 3 days. I was in the bank at a time of transition. And therefore the earliest I got home was midnight. And I would leave the house by 5 a.m. And at 3 years old, I would just find I've left before he's woken up. And I'll come back after he has slept. And so one day he said that his mother actually does not come home. That really concerned me. And the other thing is that I do come from a very, very mixed background. My mother is a Kenyan, my mother a Malawian, and I'm married to Charles, who comes from the western part of Kenya. And I just thought if my in-laws had this story that I don't come home, they have no doubt because a 3-year-old cannot lie. And with those two reasons, I decided that I was going to leave this job and stay at home. So this opportunity found me at home. And I was looking for something to do. It came a year after I resigned. I was a bit frustrated because I was used to having my own income. When Charles and I met, I was working. And so after I stopped working, there are some decisions I could not make. And so this opportunity for me is God-given because I prayed for it. And I take it very, very seriously. So one of the things I never regret is having resigned to take care of my children. And I'm always so forever grateful for this opportunity because it gave me a chance to provide for them financially and to be home with them and to just put some things that today I know that nobody can remove them from their inside. And that son I resigned when he was now 5, and I don't have a second born. That will be a story for another day. And we've got a third born, and that boy who was 3 then is already a father now so we've got a grandchild, and our grandchild turns 3 months in this week. And it's very, very exciting to just see another generation come up and to say that this opportunity, I'll forever be grateful. Sometimes I think if I wasn't introduced, I shudder to think where I would be, especially in terms of health and wellness. So that's just a little bit about us, and I will go on. I want to do a screen sharing. And like I said, brain health is so key because the way your brain is, it determines so many things about our lives. And I think in this part of the world, we are not very keen on brain health because anytime we hear anything to do with the brain, we are thinking that somebody must be, Fred, are you able to see my screen? Fred? Can somebody confirm they can see my screen? Okay. Hello. Are you able to see my screen? Can somebody confirm? Oh, you can't see. Okay, yeah, I needed that confirmation. Sorry. Yes, I realized that I think my screen was not being seen. Okay, I think from there you can see my screen. I was just wondering and I felt that I don't think you were able to see my screen. I think we are good there. Okay, I think the screen can be seen now. Thank you so much. And so I was just saying that most of us in this part of the world do not take brain health seriously, either because we've not been trained on it or we just think that it is just a portion that is there. And the brain has got two sides, the left and the right, and they do different functions. Most people use only one side of the brain. For example, if you're good with reading, you're good with just doing things that have got to do with just basic normal things, you are only using one side. So one side is the creative side and the other side is just for operating normal things. People who can speak 4 or 5 languages are using both sides of the brain. People who play instruments use both sides of the brain. And so if there are certain things you're not doing, maybe if you can only speak 1 or 2 languages, it means you're not using both sides of the brain. If you're not playing an instrument, it means you are not using both sides of the brain. So that is why that picture is there, to show you that you've got both sides of the brain. And I've just taken some of the things that we go through with brain health. And I want to say that brain health should actually start at conception, because most of us worry about the things that happen long after we've grown up. If only we had an idea that even before one conceived, they should actually be able to start taking care of the brain, because the foundation on which this body grows is actually what determines what you will suffer from or not suffer from. In fact, a research has shown something called 1,000 days of a child's life, that the first 1,000 days of a child's life will determine what they can suffer from or not suffer from for the rest of their lives. The 1,000 days, we first count the 9 months of pregnancy, the first year and the second year. So that is very, very basic and it's important that we get it. Those are just some of the problems we get for children, and I'm starting at the children because brain health is for us all the way up. So that's attention deficiency disorder, where children cannot concentrate, they are very hyper. You go to a supermarket with a child and they are throwing tantrums all over, and some of us don't understand what is happening. The second challenge we have of the brain is depression, when you don't feel like doing anything, you find your life is not worthwhile, and there are just so many challenges. Some people don't bathe, they're not seeing the value for life. And then we've got memory issues, things like memory loss. People can't remember things, they can't recall, they can't concentrate. And then finally, I'll finish off aging of the brain, because as the body ages, so does the brain. So we are going to start as the first place. This is just a slide showing the different things that happen in the brain. And the one on the right-hand side is just showing a normal brain, and the other one, a brain that is not working normally. And the greatest thing that interferes with the brain is actually the sugar levels. And that is why I've shown that graph there. I know people who are distributors might recognize this graph, and most likely you actually associate it only with the weight, but it has to do with what we call sugar levels in the brain, that the sugar levels in the brain do affect the brain function at a very, very advanced state. And so we are saying that the normal brain sugar level should be where we are seeing the green, but what happens to most of us, and especially young children, you find they've got what we call spikes, very high sugar levels and very low because of the diet that we eat, because most of us are eating what we call processed foods or refined foods, which give us what we call a high glycemic. That thing we call glycemic control that is on the right, glycemic just means GLY is glucose and semic is blood. So the rate at which glucose gets released in the blood is what we call glycemic. So the sugar needs to be released at a certain rate, not too fast and not too slow. So what we are calling the glycemic control zone is how your blood sugars should behave in the body and also in the brain. So when you get the spikes of too high and too low, you're gonna get a challenge. So let's say when people wake up in the morning, they take a cup of tea, which they've added sugar, then they take a refined bread, take sausage, and that immediately disturbs the sugar level, it becomes too high. Then the insulin, which is produced from a portion we call the pancreas, insulin is a hormone that controls sugar levels, and our body need not actually produce insulin if there is no high or low sugar levels. So because the sugar level has gone so high up beyond the glycemic control zone, the insulin produced is so high and it brings the sugar level so low. So by around 10 o'clock, the child is so hungry and they've got to snack. I know in Kenya here, people will take something we call mandazi, they will take samosa, they will take basically refined foods, and immediately the sugar level again goes too high. So there's not what we call a roller coaster, the up and down, and that kind of instability is going to affect how our children's attention and operation of the brain. So the biggest challenge we have, especially with children, is that they're getting too much sugar in forms of sweets, in terms of what we give them, snacks. And one of the things that I hope one day we'll be able to get across, and I know I have got mothers on this call. I wish one day I'll just do a session for mothers, because why mothers? Because we are the ones who run the homes and we are the ones who give the food. And there's something, I think they call it letters, that is bought from the supermarkets. I know it's here in Kenya and probably other parts of the world. I wouldn't know what you call it, but it's some colored things that they've got red, they've got yellow, they've got green, and they just look like biting children take. My goodness, those colors are just chemicals, and they just destabilize the sugar level. And no wonder our children are throwing tantrums and misbehaving, because when they've got all this excess sugar, they've got to do something. It makes them hyperactive. And so they've got all these challenges. So one of the things we need to do is to control the sugar level in the children's brain, because otherwise then you're going to get all those attention deficiency syndrome. Also, attention deficiency syndrome comes when children watch too much television, because you realize with the television, it is static in the sense that it doesn't move. And so a child will fix their eyes there the whole day, and they don't move at all. And because of that, a child will go to class and cannot follow the teacher moving to the left or to the right, because you see the TV is the things that are in the TV that move, but the child's eyes do not make any movement. And as a result of that, children go to school, and as somebody is moving around, they're not able to shift to the right or to the left, because they're just used to just staring. In fact, one very scary statistic showed that there's something called kilojoules, the energy level in the brain. And they showed that somebody who is doing nothing, sitting in a room doing nothing, burns kilojoules, but somebody watching TV, there's no burning. As in, somebody watching TV is as good as a dead brain. Can you imagine? And I'm talking like that because I know in this part of the world, we are so concentrated on things that are just static, from the phones to the televisions, and we need to allow our brains to be able to move around and therefore be able to assist us. We are saying that we have a problem. So we are saying one of the things that happens with ADD, or attention deficiency disorder, there's diminished arousal of some regions of the nervous system, meaning the sensitivity. Arousal is the sensitivity that happens in different parts of the nervous system. Then there is a decreased blood flow to the cortex, that is the front part of the brain, and pathways connecting to lymph movement. Lymph movement is dependent on the blood flow, or the blood flow that goes to the brain. So some of the challenges we are getting is because there isn't enough blood flow to the brain. And then we've got decreased metabolism throughout the brain. Like I said, because of this up and down, the glucose distribution in the brain is not working well. And so I'm going to start and say that for mothers, just the moment you actually conceive, one of the products you must have is our salmon oil, omega-3 salmon oil plus. And I know there are other omegas in the market, but I want to tell you the difference between the other omegas and what we call our salmon oil omega-3. This salmon oil has got what we call 8 molecules of the omega-3. Most of the omega-3s in the market actually only have 2 of the omegas. They've got what we call a DHA and EPH. Those 2, EPHA, they just are only 2. And the fish that we found in the tropics, like our African continent is a tropic, it means the sun is almost throughout the year. We call it the cod liver oil, and that is oil derived from the liver of the cod fish. And that only has 2 molecules of the omega-3. The proper omega-3 needs to have 8 molecules, meaning that if it has less than the 8, it is actually of no use to you. Anything that is not having all that it should have will not help your system. It's as good as taking your money and throwing it down the drain. One of the things I want to encourage those of us on the call, please start reading labels, because if you read, you'll get some understanding and start getting information. All this information, we're in an era where information is now endless. There is no excuse for us not having some information, because now health has become our issue and not the doctors. So this has got the 8 omega-3s. And one of the things that happens is that you need something called fatty acids. Fatty acids are what make up the brain. And that is why one of the challenges that people get, especially mothers, when they get children, they go in postpartum depression, is because they didn't take enough of the omega-3. Why? When you conceive, the child is not going to lack because you're lacking. They'll take what you have and you'll be left without anything. And no wonder that depression happens immediately they give birth, because the child has taken all the fatty acids from your system that they would have needed for their brain development. So salmon oil omega-3, very, very key for brain development, and as far as the fatty acids are concerned, and addressing the attention deficiency disorder in children. So it's got all the 8 and very, very key. And why I'm saying read labels, I had a friend 2 weeks ago, and I was just taking her through the difference in our products. And I was at a very prominent shopping center, which I don't want to name. And we went there, and I was just telling her, just read the label. And one of the, you know, when a product derives its name from the key product. So if something is called omega-3, the bigger percentage on that bottle should be the omega-3. We took this bottle and it had the name omega-3. And you know, the omega-3 was right at the bottom, and a 0.something% was what was omega-3. So some of us are not even, so what is packed in the container is not what is there. One of the things I love about this company and Neolife, what you read on the label is exactly what is on the inside. And I'm just so proud to be associated with such a company. The other product that children need is NutriShake or Neolife Shake. You might find NutriShake not available now with some of the ingredients missing out, especially with the war that has been going on in Ukraine. So you can use the Neolife Shake, which is its equivalent. Actually, the Neolife Shake is a higher form of NutriShake. Because NutriShake had 18 vitamins and minerals, the Neolife Shake has got 25 vitamins and minerals. So it's a higher form of the NutriShake. And what does this do? This greatly does control the sugar levels. Remember the photo I showed you at the beginning that's got the up and down of the sugar levels going up and down, because the brain needs some form of sugar or some form of energy to be able to function. So the Neolife Shake, very, very key. It will control those sugar levels, and so there'll not be the spike of it up and down. And so you'll find that the kid is not as irritable, and it just helps them to be able to function and have enough energy in the brain. The other very key product is CalMag. CalMag helps to work with the nervous system, because if the nervous system is not working well, then that's when you get all these tantrums, especially because of the sugar level being too much. So our CalMag helps with the calming of the child's system, and also it helps especially with the vitamin D. The vitamin D in our CalMag, vitamin D3 actually, it has been shown to help with immunity. And some of the things that happen to people who go out of the country, you find that people of the African origin, when they go to the European countries, they get depression a lot. And it's because they're not having especially the vitamin D3, which is a bit of the sun. So those of us who've got students who study out of the country, please make sure you get them a product with vitamin D, because they need the sun, unlike the people who come from the other races who don't need the sun as much as we do. And that is one of the things that make students maybe go out of the country who are very good performers when they were here, and when they go out of the country, especially to the European world, they're not doing as well because the sun exposure there is not as good. So vitamin D3 and the calcium, very, very key as far as calming the nervous system and concentration is concerned. Then we move to depression and the brain. And this is just some of the photos taken at different times of a person who's got a depressed state of the mind. And the pictures, of course, those of us on the call may not understand very well, but a doctor on the call would understand these photos, and that's why we put them there. That when the brain scan is taken, it can show a depressed state and it can show a normal state. So those are just some photos taken along the way to show the brain function and how they are able to tell that depression is happening. And I was saying that depression, you don't have the mood, you don't want to wake up. You can find a depressed person, they're not eating. Some people, when they're depressed, they overeat. Some people, when they're depressed, they don't eat. They may sit in a dark room, they don't want light, they don't go out. They basically don't know what to do themselves, and they just feel that they are not worth. The biggest thing is that they feel they are not worth, that life is not worth living. So they have basically almost no activities at all, and that is a very, very bad place to be at. And like I said, what is very bad in this part of the world is that we don't take brain health seriously. Actually, when people hear of depression and you have to see a psychiatrist, people think actually mad. Please, if somebody has depression, let them see the doctor, because they need help. Because there are some things that happen in the brain. There are two key things that are not available in the brain. Some people in depression, they don't actually sleep at all. And some of the people in depression sleep throughout the day. There are two key hormones that affect the brain. There's one called serotonin, and another one called melatonin. Melatonin has to do with sleep. That is what makes you sleep. Serotonin has got with what we call neurotransmitters, things that transmit messages from the brain to the rest of the body. So those two things usually miss out on a person with depression, and they need that balance put in. And that's why sometimes if you go through depression, kindly see a doctor, and you might be on some antidepressants for a while. But we are saying that with good nutrition and some of the things we teach on these sessions, you might never have to go through that. And that is why we are taking it very seriously, because your brain is everything. And like we said, omega-3, we can never stop talking about it. It is one of the things that help with depression, because people with depression don't have even a mood at all. So one of the things that salmon oil will do, they'll give you what we call good hormones or happy hormones, especially with moods, because people with depression have got almost mood swings. They're sometimes happy, sometimes so sad, and they cannot tell why that is happening. So that up and down swing of the moods, the salmon oil is able to control, and that is why as a first product, when it comes to depression. Another very key product is vitamin B complex. Vitamin B complex has got delivering the right energy to the brain. The brain needs energy. And what makes our B complex very, very key is that it's got all the B vitamins together in one. If a product, like I said, does not have everything together, it means you're just getting bits and pieces. And we do say that our products have got what we call whole food supplement. Whole food means that our products work exactly how food works. Your body has got 6 stages of digestion. And if an item cannot go through the 6 stages, it's of no use. So our products follow the 6 stages of digestion, and that's why they do a different work from any other supplement that is in the market. So our B complex has got all the B vitamins together, and the B vitamins are very key, including a recent study that has shown there's something called B17, and people are asking where do we get B17? This particular product actually has got B17, because B17 is being shown to actually help with some types of cancers. And so you can see our products are already on the edge, having what people are looking for today in this day and era. So what makes our B complex very, very, very good is that it's got some features. First of all, it's got all the B vitamins in one. The other thing, it's got what we call a sustained release or time release. Their vitamins are categorized in 2 places. You get what we call water soluble and oil soluble. Oil soluble, the body can store, which means if you take that kind of a vitamin, it can stay in your body for a certain period of time, especially stored in the liver. The water soluble does not get stored, which means that if you take a water soluble vitamin, the moment you go to the toilet after taking it, everything that the body has not yet utilized, all of it goes down the drain. And there are 2 key vitamins that are very much that way. Vitamin B and vitamin C happen to be what we call water soluble. So the facility of time release or sustained release means it can stay in your system actually up to 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours. And that means that your body will use it all the more compared to one that you take and the next minute you go to the toilet, especially when you take water, it all drains out. So our sustained release, very, very key product that helps with the nervous system, helps with calmness, and puts energy in the brain. Because if a brain has no energy, then it cannot function very well. Then the other product, and I know this will be a little bit not so known to people, is that there's something called acidophilus. It is not in our Kenyan market or East Africa because it requires a certain storage facility. It has to be stored under some certain temperature. And because of our high temperatures, we are not yet able to have acidophilus in our market. It is a type of what we call a probiotic. I know you're used to antibiotics. You know, antibiotics, you can have Septrin, amoxicillin, all that. But for us, we have what we call a probiotic. A probiotic has to do with the bacteria in your digestive system. So acidophilus is a type of a probiotic. It balances the bacteria in your digestive system. You've got good bacteria and you've got bad bacteria. And why it is there? Some form of depression has been associated with how your gut works. Somebody has actually called the gut or the digestive system the second brain, because how your digestive system works can actually determine your mood in the brain. So if you've got a digestive system that is not working well, then you've got issues with how your brain works. And so acidophilus puts the right bacteria in your digestive system and helps with what we call assimilation. Once food is digested and gone into your bloodstream, assimilation means it is able to get to work in your cell. And if it cannot be able to move from the stomach to the cells that need it, then it is actually that food is not useful. And that is where the digestive system comes in, that things we need to move from the gut to the rest of the body, and that will depend on the bacteria that is in our digestive system. So acidophilus puts the right population of the right bacteria. And how will you know you've got the wrong or right bacteria? If you find yourself craving so much for sweets, you're craving for sweet things too much, you've got the wrong bacteria. If you're just okay and you can regulate yourself on taking sweet things, you can actually make a decision on it, then you've got the right bacteria, and that's how you are able to tell. So acidophilus will help because it will help to bring in the nutrients that need to go to the brain in an easy way so the brain can get what it needs from the digestive system. So acidophilus are a very key product because it will give us what we call the probiotics. In the absence of this, you can take yogurt, and you need sugar-free, low-fat, sugar-free yogurt, meaning as natural as possible yogurt. The only challenge is that one capsule of our acidophilus is equivalent to 10 servings of yogurt, and most of us may not be able to get that on a daily basis. And so acidophilus would be the way to go because it helps with the digestive system and the gut system. I might as well mention here, because for the sake of the ladies, and as much as we are talking about brain health, ladies do get what we call candida during our cycle, and we are always having an itching and going for what we call Candid B cream. When that happens, just know it is actually something wrong with your digestive system, and it will not matter how many times you go for those treatments. The thing you need to address is actually your gut system, and acidophilus will do you good. If not acidophilus, then you can use our garlic allium, but acidophilus is exactly what you need because it is a probiotic. It helps with digestion. I thought it is important for me to mention that. Then we move to what we call the memory. And I think at a time like now, we should be able to talk about memory, because we've got students, it's come to the end of the year, and people are preparing for exams. They could be college, they could be school, they could be exams in other professionals, doctors, people in college, getting ready for different things. And so we are talking about exam readiness. What do you need to do? What do you need to help with concentration? Because you find that you read for long hours, so that you need to be able to concentrate for long periods of time. And then you also need to focus. Focus, for me, I say follow one course until success. You need to focus, to just zero in on that one item without your brain getting distracted and here and there. And then you, of course, need sustained energy. Because we said if the brain does not have sustained energy, that will already be a problem. So I'm going to cover that because that's what memory will involve in those 4 areas. Now, the first part, again, you're going to find this omega-3 very key. Everywhere we are talking, omega-3 is key. So one of the things you should have known by now is that you must have omega-3 as one of the products you need for your brain health, right from before birth, during birth, and after. And I never forget that for me, we started giving our third born, who is our last girl, I started giving her omega-3 at 3 days old. And somebody asked me, weren't you scared? I'd tried it on myself and I knew it was good for her. So I wasn't scared and I wasn't worried. So our last born daughter, Angela, has taken omega-3 since she was 3 days old. And I can tell you that girl has got a superb brain. She's able to speak different languages. And though she doesn't understand what she's saying, she's able to learn and speak them. And that is amazing. And so omega-3, very, very good for memory, because there are people, car keys especially, and they're looking for these keys all over. Woe unto you if you wear specs and the specs get lost. I don't know what we're going to do, because some of us, even our cell phones, we can't remember where we put them. And every other time you're telling somebody, call me so that I can hear from the ringtone where the phone is. And if you've put it on silent, it means you'll never get it. I don't know what happens, specs only for reading. And you can imagine then that you're not able to function because we cannot start calling your specs from wherever they are. So you need to have a good memory to be able to recall things. Memory just means you're able to recall. You're not forgetful. There are people who forget. There are people I know cannot tell the name of their classmates. They cannot tell whether they met you or not. And I can tell you that when you use these products, your memory is very, very good. I got a story. I had a classmate who I hadn't seen for 15 years. No, actually 37 years, not 15. That should tell you I'm a bit old by the time you don't see somebody for 37 years. And I met her once because she ordered products and I was delivering them to her. She'd been referred to me by her next door neighbor. And the neighbor said this girl had lived out of the country for 15 years. So there was no way I was going to know her. But because she kept on ordering, I said, I'd like to know my clients. And I went to see her. And the moment she opened the gate, she looked familiar, but not too much. And when we got into talking, we started talking, the schools we went to, and we realized we were classmates. The only thing, she'd been my classmate for only a term. But it's been 37 years since we met. Do you know, I could tell her even where her school skirt will level below the knees were. I could tell her shoes and the decorations on her shoes. And I even told her where her socks used to reach and even her hair. And she just said, you're crazy. So memory, everything. And I can tell you these products do an amazing job. So you need to be able to recall. And then we've got again the Neolife Shake. And the Neolife Shake, one of the things I want to make the distributors on the call especially know, and our guests, I know people say that it is expensive. And I want to tell you expensive is relevant. I often ask, I know you buy a good pair of shoes, you buy a nice cell phone, the ladies will go to the salon and we can't even tell how much money we will spend on it. And I want to tell you that health is an investment. The same way you can invest in a car and buy it for 2-3 million. How about if you spend that money over the year and spend it on your own body? Because you see, this body has no spare parts. It's the only thing that we've got since the day we were born until we go down. It's the only thing we've got that carries us along this earth. And you know what? It's the only one that helps us get what we are keeping and valuing so much more than the body. So there are 3 things I want you to know about the Neolife Shake. It will do you 3 things. Number 1, it says it's got 22 amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks. Actually, amino acids are into 2. They're essential and non-essential. 14 are essential, 8 are non-essential. And our Neolife Shake has got all the 22 amino acids. And they're very, very necessary for your body. Amino acids will help you in 3 things. It will produce what we call enzymes. In school, we called enzymes catalysts. They help to break down food to give you energy. In other words, when you take food, until it is broken down to a way that the body can use, it then does not work well. And that's where people with allergies come in. It means that the protein they are taking is not able to produce the right enzymes. And so as a result, they get what we call allergies, because that whatever they're taking cannot break down with the enzymes that it is producing. So number 1, it is enzymes that are your catalysts for breaking down food that can be used in the body. Number 2, it will give you the right hormones. You need hormones in your system. Remember when I was talking about people in depression who don't get 2 hormones, which are called serotonin and melatonin. So the Neolife Shake will make sure you've got the right hormones and your body can work well. And ladies, I know you know about hormones. I mean, hormones, when they're disrupted, you're just another story. So we all know that hormones are very, very key in how we feel and how we function. So the Neolife Shake will give you the proper hormones for the proper functioning of your brain. The 3rd thing that it will give you is to give you antibodies, things that come to defend you should you get illness, and also helps in the brain function. So, and then also manage sugar levels. Like we said, that sugar levels, the spiking up and down is a challenge to the brain. So the Neolife Shake will help with managing sugar levels. Then of course, we've got Formula 4 Plus. Our Formula 4 Plus has got vitamins and minerals that your body needs in one. So it's got something we call TNN and multi in one product. And what Formula 4 does, the whole grains will help things get into your system and get out, basically giving you what we call cellular nutrition, because some of the problems that we get with memory have got to do with some vitamins and minerals not being in the things that we eat. So Formula 4 Plus, very, very key. We have Formula 4 and Formula 4 Plus. I just want to make the distinction here. Formula 4 has got all the vitamins and minerals plus iron. Formula 4 Plus has no iron, but has got a higher percentage of zinc. So we usually say women, especially in childbearing age, should more use Formula 4, and then the older ones of us can use Formula 4 Plus. And for the men, we recommend more Formula 4 Plus because you need zinc to help you with protection of your prostate. And that's why we've got Formula 4 and Formula 4 Plus. I just thought that it is necessary for me to mention that distinction because I think sometimes people don't know what the difference is. So for the vitamins and minerals that are needed and in the percentages they are needed in the balance is found in our Formula 4 Plus, and it will be able to help you with the vitamins and minerals that you need. Another very key product is Mind Enhancement. Mind Enhancement, very, very good. It says it gives the brain peak performance and vitality and activity. Actually, what Mind Enhancement will do, there are 3 things that Mind Enhancement does. It's got a number of herbs in there, but the main herb I want to talk about is called ginkgo biloba. If you go to the shops and you're looking for anything to do with the brain work, there's something called ginkgo biloba, and it is a herb. And what that herb particularly does, it helps to increase blood flow to the brain. Remember, we said that if there's a decrease in blood flow to the brain, you get memory issues. So some of us are not having proper working brains because the blood that is to the brain is so little. Remember that when blood goes to the brain, it carries in oxygen and oxygen is very, very key. In fact, just 1 minute of missing oxygen in your brain can make your brain die. That is how serious it is to ensure that there's enough blood flow to the brain. So the biggest thing that mind enhancement will do, it will increase blood flow to the brain. And when that happens, you got memory, you got concentration, you got alertness, because the brain needs 3 things: memory, alertness, and concentration, so that you are able to concentrate for long periods without your brain getting tired. Because brain fatigue is actually worse than body fatigue. Because when you're tired in the brain, there are so many things that can go wrong. Like when people drive for long hours and their brain can no longer concentrate, the brain is tired, you're not even able to tell how far a car is for you to overtake, and you're going to do some funny things on the road. There are times you found people's brain is so tired that when they were supposed to be driving on the right side of the highway, they're actually on the left. That is just how serious it is if your brain is tired. So mind enhancement, very, very key, increasing blood flow to the brain, and that helps with memory. The other thing is that because of its ability to increase blood flow to the brain, it actually helps to manage stroke. Because stroke and heart attack are one thing, stroke is when the blood clot stops in the brain. The challenges if you've got a hypertension and diabetes is so thick, so if that clot happens to stop in the brain, then you get what we call a stroke, which usually affects one side of the body, and it's usually the right side, because if it affected the left, you'd definitely die, because the left side is what has got the heart. And that's why you find that most strokes actually affect the right side. It's a mechanism that the brain is using to try and help you, and it's just allowing you time to sort out whatever the issue is before you finally just pass on because of that issue. So mind enhancement, because of that facility to increase blood flow, it actually is able to dissolve clots in the brain. So that is one of the products we need to highly recommend to people who are having strokes. So very, very key product. And mind enhancement also helps children. There are some children whose speech gets very slurred or they don't talk in time. You can actually give mind enhancement to children, school-going children. And the only difference is that whereas the adults will take 1 tablet in the morning and 1 tablet in the evening, for the children, they'll do half or a quarter tablet, because there are some children who don't speak in time, are found because of their diet. A 4-year-old is still not able to converse, not able to speak in a way that you can clearly hear. They've got a slow speech, so mind enhancement can help in those kind of things. So you can see there. And then mind enhancement also helps people who are coordinating a lot of things. There are people, they're a CEO, they're an MD, they're a chairman of certain boards. They're involved in so many activities in a day. And so those people need their brain working at a certain level so that they're able to cope with all that they need to. So one of the things you're going to realize when you start taking mind enhancement, from the moment you wake up to when you go to bed, you can actually function as if you've just woken up, because your brain is so clear. It gives you clarity in your thought. And so you're not mixed up or confusion for that matter. So a very, very key product, very good for CEOs and people who are doing a lot of things. And people who are saying, you know what, I know my brain is important and I need till death do us part, that I need to have a proper working brain. Because if your brain is not working well, I can tell you, you're as good as dead. So very, very key product there called mind enhancement. Very, very useful. Then we go to, I'm almost like through now. I'm just going on to the aging, because the brain ages. Again, it's because of our nutrition. And on the extreme left is a normal brain, and you can tell by the blue that is happening. And by the time you come to the extreme end, which is on the right, you can see there's a black place, meaning some cells have actually died. Mild cognitive impairment is where cognitive is your ability to remember or to recall things or recognize them. That's what we call cognitive. And then Alzheimer's disease, Alzheimer's is actually shrinkage of the brain. So with time, because of the things that we do, our brain shrinks. And when it shrinks, we actually get memory loss. And that is when people say that, oh, my parents are now old. It is normal for you to forget, not to have proper memory. It is not true. With proper nutrition and very good diet and exercise, you can actually have your brain until you go down. One of the key people who produced these products, Dr. Arthur Fast, at 95, he was still going to the office and doing research. So you can imagine in Kenya, I think a 60-year-old is almost not having proper brain memory and recognition. And that tells us that there's something we are not doing right, and it has to do with our diet and our lifestyle. So Alzheimer's and some of these diseases can actually be prevented if we take the right products. Then there's dementia. These are just different names of brain challenges. Then there's degeneration. That means cells are dying and they're not getting replaced. Then there's Alzheimer's. And then there is, of course, Parkinson's disease, which I didn't hear. But we are saying all those things can be managed. So again, salmon oil plus, you're to realize that that product has, from when I started the presentation, so that tells you it's a key product that you must have. You know, there are some things that are not optional. It is a must-have product. You cannot afford not to have it if you care about your health. Then we got carotenoid. And carotenoid is a type of fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are divided into three categories. We've got what we call carotenoids, which are the brightly colored fruit colors like the green, the red, the orange. Those are called carotenoids. They're bright colors. Then we've got the flavonoids, deep colors like the grapes, which are dark purple, purplish in color. Deep colors are called flavonoids. Then we got the cruciferous. Cruciferous are things like cabbage, broccoli. Those kind of vegetables are called cruciferous. And so the biggest thing about carotenoid is that it's an antioxidant. There's something we call oxidation. Actually, there are two enemies to brain aging: inflammation and oxidation. Inflammation is where there are swellings, growths, and that is because there is inflammation, irritation. Inflammation is actually irritation of brain cells, and actually that salmon oil handles inflammation that happens in the brain. Then the other big enemy to aging is oxidation, and that's where carotenoid comes in. It helps to stop oxidation. What's oxidation? Those of us in Africa will understand this very well, that when we are lighting a charcoal jiko or a firewood, when we immediately light that firewood, there's some smoke that comes out before the actual fire comes in. And that kind of effect happens in our body. When we eat food, as it is burning to give us energy, because that burning you see outside actually happens in the body, only in the body it's a bit different. That happens in our bodies. And as food burns to give us energy, it produces what we call oxidants. So the biggest thing that carotenoid does, it actually prevents that oxidation. And oxidation is a bad process, especially when you think of oxidation that happens in the veins. When our blood vessels get oxidation, then that's where we get high blood pressure, because the vein or the artery becomes so hard and constrained, and so blood cannot flow. So oxidation, a very important thing for you to handle. So one of the things that make the brain age very fast is oxidation. And so carotenoid will help with that. Carotenoid is also an immune booster, boosts your immunity by 37% in just 20 days. That is a very, very high immunity from the baseline. It also produces what we call anti-cancer cells. They're actually called T killer cells. If you were to get cancer, our bodies can totally protect us from anything, but we've got to give them the right nutrition. So those, we call them T killer cells. When you take carotenoids, they're like your first defense of cancer. And so they come up and protect your cells from getting cancer. So they're called T killer cells. And this carotenoid helps the body produce 20% more by using this carotenoid. Carotenoid will also help with cataracts, the aging of the eyes, where the eye ages so fast and damages the eye, especially people who get like diabetes. This is one of the products they must have, because people with diabetes, their eyes actually are eaten up, and with time they become blind. So you can see that carotenoid very, very key, and all that is to do with oxidation. Then it is also anti-aging, reduces your cells aging process by 44%. Man, that's high. And I know that's good news for the ladies. You know, we want to look 16 for the rest of our lives. And so it helps the body aging process, the cells. So somebody taking carotenoid, if their heart rate is checked or their heart function, maybe you're 50 and it operates as if you are just about 30, that's almost 20 years off what it should do. And so that is why we say it is an anti-aging product, very, very key product, and very, very good for total health. So carotenoid, that's where it comes when it comes to anti-aging, because it helps the brain to age very, very well. Then, of course, we got flavonoid, and I did about flavonoid being the one that is done from deep colors like the grapes, the berries. And whereas carotenoid works on what carotenoid is now a fat-soluble product, meaning it can store in the body, flavonoid is water-soluble. One of the key things that flavonoid has is actually got a very good vitamin C. In fact, most of the times we say, if you want your vitamin C to work well, please combine it with flavonoid, because it will be more effective. So flavonoid works on the watery part of the cells, whereas carotenoid works on the oily part of the cell, and you need the two, because it protects all the watery part of the cell. The flavonoid will protect. The biggest thing that flavonoid also does, especially as far as the blood is concerned, it helps to stop blood cancers, leukemia. This is one of the products that we need to give, especially to our children, to stop them from getting leukemia. But I must say at this point, one of the things that is causing a lot of leukemia in this country is these people that are eating a lot of hot dogs along the streets, and whatever is making up that product, with time, it's actually going to give our kids blood cancer or leukemia. And flavonoid is one of the things that will help to work on the blood, and you cannot get leukemia, or if you have it, it can be able to handle. But the biggest thing, it will work on the watery part of the cell, as carotenoid works on the oily part of the cell. And then, of course, Formula 4 Plus, we say the vitamins and minerals that your body needs to be able to function well, so that it is working well and with all the vitamins and minerals that you need. And then, of course, we are just saying just for normal, basic daily nutrition, just to be healthy, to make sure maybe you're not even addressing anything. You just want basic health. We've got this supplement, Pro Vitality. I know currently we have it out of stock, but you can take the individual products that make Pro Vitality. And if you're writing, you could write. You'll take Formula 4 Plus. You could take the 30 sachets. You're going to take carotenoid complex. You could do the 30 capsules. And then you're going to take omega-3. The only thing the omega-3 use the omega-3 salmon oil plus, the 90 caps. And then take actually those three, Formula 4 Plus, carotenoid, and the omega-3, the 90 caps will give you the Pro Vitality. So the fact that we are not getting it just means that these products are in high demand all over the world. Because in East Africa, I think all the East African countries, nobody has Pro Vitality in stock. And so you can actually buy the individual items that make up that product. And it's a very, very wonderful product. I remember when they launched it for the distributors, it meant PV. If you want PV cell Pro Vitality, and that's where it's got its name from. And it's got 15 kilos of whole grains, 36 kilos of raw fruits and vegetables. For fruits and vegetables, it's actually got 7 different types of fruits and vegetables. And then it's got 10 servings of omega-3 salmon oil, all in just a box. And we're just seeing those are the benefits that you get out of using our products. And we're saying the very basic you should use is actually Pro Vitality and the New Life Shake, and you're good to go. I call them get up and go products. They're the kind of products that will make sure you've got proper health from your head to your toe, the blood, the cells, the body function, your skin, each and everything that has to do with nutrition for your body. This is what you need to use. Finally, as I just conclude, I want to say that you cannot afford not to use these products, because health is your greatest wealth. And if you're healthy, you're already wealthy. And in our business, we believe in you being healthy first and then getting the wealth, because in the normal world, we've been taught to get wealth fast. And if you get wealth fast, it means you're going to use all your wealth to try and get your health, and you're going to lose the two. So we are saying be healthy first, then get the wealth, and you are going to be able to keep the two. So thank you so much. I've come to the end of my presentation, and I want to hand back over to Fred, and to say that I'm looking forward to people having proper brains that are working and tell death to us fast. Our own founder, Jerry Brasfield, at 85 almost now, his brain is intact. I never forget one time, he used to come to the countries where the business is every 10 years. And I never forget a trip he did in 2010. And he'd been to 20 countries before coming to Kenya. He came to Kenya in about May. And I can tell you, he named all the 20 countries in the order in which he went to them without referring to any piece of paper. And I was just so amazed, because some of us, we are not yet even 20 or 30 or 40 for that matter. And I can say that our memory and our brains are already compromised. Thank you so much for having me this afternoon, and I do appreciate. Fred Gishoke, back to you, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maggie. Maybe as you wrap up, somebody asked on the chat about bipolar disorder. What can we recommend? What would you say to that?
Bipolar depressions, there are different types of depression. You can find what we call maniac. Maniac is very, very deep depression, because usually every one of us gets depressed at some point in our lives. When you get very disappointed, people, when they lose family, when you get a very bad disappointment, you get into depression. Different challenges in life can give you depression. So at every one point, you can get depressed. But what happens if that depression doesn't go within 2 weeks of the incident happening? Then it means you actually need to see a medical doctor, because within 2 or 3 weeks of some things happening, you should be able to get off and run a normal life. So in about 3 weeks to a month, if you're not getting back to your normal life, then it actually means then you actually do need a doctor. You need to see a psychiatrist. And I would also recommend that those who get depression, they also need to see who we call as psychotherapists. A psychiatrist will basically give you the medication. A psychotherapist will work with your thinking and where your brain is at, because you need the two. And so bipolar is a form of depression. It's like a continuous one. It never seems to end. But I can say that all these depressions, especially even those ones of bipolar, is because the mother at the point of conception, imagine, never took some proper supplements. So some of the key supplements that somebody expectant must take: omega-3, no option; B complex, very, very key; and of course the Neolife Shake and the Tree and N. Those are very, very key products to take, because this kind of depressions come because of some lack of nutrients. So bipolar, you must at least take, if it's a Pro Vitality Neolife Shake, and then you must add the B vitamins. And then for the bipolar, they can do actually up to 6 omega-3s, and they may need to do 3 or 4 of the B vitamins because they need a higher dose of the vitamin B. So bipolar is a form of depression that is very, very recurrent. It doesn't seem to have an end. But again, I would say that if you've got any health challenge to do with your brain function, kindly also see a doctor, because we are only giving nutritional part of it, but we are saying do even better and do what we call prevention. That is, I think, what I can say for now, but they will need to see a doctor to work with them even as they take the supplements.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much. That was a major, fantastic presentation. And let me tell you, I've also learned a lot, and I've been here for more than 20 years. Thank you so much, Maggie. Well detailed, well presented. And guys, that's a quality you get when you come for these health seminars on Sundays. And I can tell you, you can use that information, share it with a friend, share it with a distributor. This recording will be available later today. So you can be able to actually just share it with your team, and you can also be able to share it with everybody around you. Now, it's also good to mention that we are in a business, and Neolife is a business, is a side hustle that you can do in your free time. And we got in to make some money. I got in to make some money, and I ended up making the money. I found health, I found lifestyle, and most of all, I found travel. If you're out there, maybe health is really not the key thing that you're looking for. You're looking for travel, you're looking for lifestyle, you're looking for making some extra money. I welcome you to Neolife. Tomorrow in the evening, we'll be having a business presentation being done by Pascal Olo, where he'll be talking about how you can use the Neolife opportunity to make yourself some money, even as you've learned about health today. So that is it on our side. Like I said earlier, this recording will be available today, later today. So you can just share it. In case you're not able to get it, talk to the person who invited you on this call. I'm sure they will get it from their upline director, so that you can be able to get that recording. Otherwise, next week we'll be back again, and we'll be discussing a different aspect of health. So make a point of zooming in next week, and also invite a friend. In Neolife, we're on a mission to make the world a healthier and happier place. And we do that by sharing the information that we have, sharing the products that we have, and sharing our story with everybody that we meet. So don't keep this information to yourself. Share it with a relative, share it with a friend, and let us make the world a healthier and happier place. So thank you so much. Have a restful evening, and we'll see you again next Sunday when we'll be back here with another health seminar. Thank you all, and God bless you.